Hi guys. So today I'm an altogether more happy camper than last week. No snow. Great, and most of the snow that we have is gone. It's completely green out here, so that's great. I don't have a tripod or anything with me because I'm actually working. I'm scouting some new locations and routes for some upcoming events, which is actually a pretty nice job. I like finding new ways and studying the maps and just trying out how the terrain is and so on, if it is fitting for that level, of course, an event, and it's just great fun out here. It's nice to have some joy in your work. I actually stopped exactly here because behind me here, you will see there, I talked about it in an earlier film, like how some of the stones will melt from the land ice and all gathered in one place, and this is called a klapperstensfeld in Swedish. It's like a whole bunch of drop stones, and for some reason, by some mechanic, I'm not a geologist, but stones will gather somehow when this ice is melting and basically be deposited all together here. And in this area there's a lot of these places, so that's pretty nice. It's a bit of a weird sight. So today I'll just be walking around a bit, showing you some nice places. You never know what you meet, so that's great. I'll give you a closer look about this at least. There's still some water in there from the snow, but it is really strange, this. So I came out on this road, which is actually planned, and then I need to go and walk due west from here. So I have to go in that direction. And that looked like a pretty dense young forest, so I have to go find a route in there that is okay. Not too many stones and stuff. Just better go. So that is a waste of a bird we call shatter here. I will caption you with the English name. It's a great area here. You see, this is excellent terrain to go in. You have to be still quite careful, of course, not to step in a hole or whatever, but that looks great. It's pretty dense though. It's really hard to orient yourself in this. Like in cases like this, when I'm scouting new routes and finding new places and see if it's appropriate to be. I of course have a compass with me, but I'm not really using it in the same way as I'm teaching students when they start with navigation. Because in the beginning I will have them following straight bearings, of course, and how to put something into the line of sight and follow that, and doing that blindly basically, and they will find all kinds of stuff, and it's really a rewarding technique. But in the end, you find yourself taking pretty difficult routes, and you will climb over rocks and do all kinds of weird stuff. Okay, in the exact locality, you will go and avoid obstacles because you know the tree or rock or whatever that you have put into your line of sight, and so you don't have to go the most difficult way there. But on a larger scale, you might follow a route that's just annoying or too much hassle. So I'm using my compass here to keep my general bearing, I use the sun as well, because I know, for instance, the sun is now there, and I know the west will be that way. So, and I'm just trying to find, the paths that are easiest to go there. And I talked about that earlier in the navigation series. A lot of that is nature awareness, and a very great help is to find animal trails, moose trails. So they tend to take relatively easy routes. Sometimes they have an advantage being high on 4 legs instead of we on 2, but mostly it's pretty good, pretty damn good. Right. Last somebody asked me, I think it was Sandy actually, do I have weapons with me to defend myself from bears or whatever? Well, the answer is no. So what do I do then, if I should meet a bear? Well, my whole philosophy is not to meet a bear. I'm just not quiet. I'm just not sneaking upon the bears. When I feel, it's something you feel, that this area is quite infested with bears, or you just make sound. Every minute or so, just yell out, "Yo, bear!" And they will hear you, and they keep a pretty wide radius around you. They don't really like to meet me either. Of course, the only drawback of that is that I probably also alert other animals that I would like to see, maybe. So, but that's a small price to pay, I think. That's a big stamp. Locally, people are debating, I think that will be in more places than this, but debating the use of a bear bell. And the locals here, they are a bit scared of that, because there's a lot of reindeer in this area, and reindeer are, they're kept by the Sami, and a few of them, or a lot of them, they have bells on. So they argue that the bears might have understood that if you hear something plinging out in the forest, that might be a juicy reindeer. I'm not sure how that, if that is true or not, but I'm not going to try it either. I really like this area. There's a lot of this, what they call here Tushlav. That's called rock tripe in English. That's a lichen. There's more over here. Let's see. And that's about the only stuff, the only lichen that you can eat as is. You don't need to do anything with it. It doesn't have so much acids in it, so this is actually quite usable. There are some survival stories of people living several weeks on only rock tripe. So it's certainly something that's valuable. It's hard work climbing around here. This is also a great forest for staying the night. There's a lot of trees. So if you're with a group here of 10 persons, they will easily find a hammock spot, all of them. And it can be pretty hard. It's always easy to find one hammock spot, but finding a spot to hammock for a group can be a bit hard sometimes. I'm looking now if I can find some vantage point. It's really nice if you want to. I don't need to go all the way today. I just need to see what is ahead. So a good way to find it is if you see close on the horizon, if you see like the sky, that means that you're getting on top of something. And also you can see quite often in these areas if the trees that are behind that are a long way off. Basically what you will see is that that there is a little lake there or something, just because you see the tips of the trees behind the clearing very small. So yeah, I think it might be something there. You see right there, it kind of looks like a clearing there. It's a bit hard to see maybe. This kind of stuff is always different from the eye. But I'm going to have a look there. It's really hard to see maybe, but there are a lot of animal trails here. Kind of animal highways. And I told you about yelling out sometimes to the bears. Well, that is particularly so when you're actually in following animal trails and also the wind is in your face. So anything that is ahead of you, they probably won't smell you. So it's pretty nice to give a shout sometimes. Yo, bear! Kind of feels like you're totally mad out alone here in the woods. But everything has a function. At least it's a good excuse, eh? Pretty windy out here. You see, it wasn't a lake, but it was some kind of swamp. But there is like an indentation in the wood, there is something that is a bit lower, and that's why I saw the tips of the trees farther off. So even when you're in dense forest, you can still recognize some features that are maybe behind a little hill or something. But that kind of stuff is not something you want to walk through, certainly not on your own. So we're going to go around that. Yeah. Now that is really hard to see, you know, on the camera, but you see the terrain slopes down here, and then I see a very bright spot there, and that is immediately something that I would recognize as water, and that's also what I want to find. So I'm going that way, which is now due south. Pretty interesting right there. Interesting. Right. Right, it looks like a lake. I'm going to take a look there. We'll talk about some big stones. This one is absolutely huge. That's an interesting place here, really. But it also makes it a bit harder to walk on. Man, look at this. Never seen this. But this is what I mean. You see? This is deep, like, but really, really deep. Be pretty careful. Wait a minute. So I have to climb over that. See, there's kinds of little holes. You have to be really careful. See that you do not step into this stuff. You'll see that there is trails here. There's a real path. Like I said earlier, it's really hard to get that kind of stuff on camera. But what you will see in these areas with the huge rocks and that you have caves and so on. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Lynx is really, do really like that. So you'll quite often found lynx droppings and also the trails. But there is absolutely no risk that I would actually see a lynx, because he would have spotted me miles ago. It was just a little lake, nothing special. But it will give me a great opportunity to solve the map and see where I'm actually at right now. I'll take a little breather as well. There was actually a large bit of ice left there, and that kind of fooled me into thinking it was a larger lake, I think, because it reflected a lot more. So, let's go look at the map. Yeah, I think that might... Sorry, this was just as interesting as watching paint dry, of course. Oh, you see that red stuff there? Yeah. Well, that's some sort of lichen or moss. That little lake I'm at is exactly that little thing there. This little thing. But I had to be absolutely sure, of course, because you see this is just wilderness. So I have my GPS with me today. You will be seeing this is Swedish grid, so you see the X coordinate is 687007, and on the map you will find there 6870. There I am now, and I was there. Sorry, it's a bit hard to zoom here. So I'm basically on this line. That's a pretty coincidence. And then, see, 1325.779. So 1325.7 basically. And those are listed on the top. See, 1325, and it goes down. And actually 0.7 is pretty much where the fold is in the map. Here it is. So just go down and you see this. And that is exactly where that little lake is. So behind the woods there is another one there and a bigger one. But I want to go due south to this one called Storholm, the big lake. Sorry for all this camera work, not great, but hey, it's all from hand. Do you see, it's pretty nice to have some stuff with you. When you're in an area you just don't know, you've never been, you're scouting in, compass, map and a GPS for safety. And a camera, of course. But the rain here is getting really annoying. And I said I was going due south, but there's all kinds of small marshes and little lakes in there that aren't on the map because of the melting snow. So what I will do is I follow the animal trails. You will see, I hope you can see this. And you should be able maybe to see it like that, but it's really hard. In this direction there goes a trail, and you see it here. There's indented, and basically something has been trotting here quite recently, off in that direction. And usually these moose, they know what they're doing, so I'll follow that one. But even if you follow the animal trails, you have to keep in your mind, like I told you in the navigation series, some kind of fixed reference, because they might not go where you want to be. So in this case that is true, and I need to, because here there is another little lake. I don't know if you see that. Yeah, there. And I need to remain on the right side of that. So I have to go off this animal trail here. Another interesting point is in these kinds of very rocky terrains, you cannot really rely on your compass that much, because I noticed that it will be very, very insecure. The needle will go from one side to the other side, and that's because there's quite a lot of iron in these mineral in the ground here, in the stones. So a large mass of stones here actually kind of influences the needle of the compass. So you need to keep your mind with it as well. Pretty interesting with all the birches. Pretty special place here, but the terrain is getting a bit hard. I'm not sure if this will be appropriate, but on the other hand, pretty good to be aware of where you put your feet. So now you have a really big track. You see it goes like that. There's a lot of moose activity here. A lot of these places where they have, what do you call that, brunched? I don't know what it's called in English. If it isn't that, I will look it up. See, that is such a place. Completely trampled. And a lot of moose trails going in and out. Looks a bit spooky actually. And again, you don't see it really great, but this is a really nice moose track, or actually two hooves came together for some reason. There is one big one here, and you have a pretty good ridge and a lot of stuff that got compressed. So this is not a long time ago. And the next one is all the way here, at least one, and you will see that here, this is the form like that. So that's great stuff. Nice old birch with some great razor strop fungus there. It's actually a pretty sad tree there. This whole area is a bit sad. It's really nice in some way, but it's a really old site where they removed the woods, but that's a long time ago. And walking through that kind of makes me nervous, especially when I'm on my own. You really need to take good care of where you walk. So I always say to people that are used to hiking, this is not hiking. If you're at luck, you can walk about 2 kilometers per hour in this stuff. You just need to be so vigilant. But at least my goal is near. See? There is a big lake. This will probably be a great movie to try out YouTube's enhancement of a shaky video. Pretty sweet. This is as long as I can go. This lake is what on the map was Storhorn. And I don't know if I can see that. In there is an island. It's a bit hard to see maybe. Yeah. And across that island there is a water goes in. You see a little kind of boat there or something. So on that side the water goes in. I think it's there, yeah. There, yeah. And then you have a little stream that I filmed at the end of Spring Gone Mad. So that was on the other side of this lake. It's getting pretty warm in the sun like this. It's pretty strange. Many years ago I've been exactly here. This exact spot. And that was also to find a camp. It was another scouting around though, but that was just to entertain a group with an overnight little event. But in exactly this place. Well, that's so strange that you can recognize a spot in the middle of the wood, and that's years ago. The only problem now is that I shouldn't walk the route that I did then, because then I will be miles from my car. Well, if I go that way, that is one hell of a terrain, like stones and cliffs and stuff, but it's maybe 300 meters and I will be at a road, and on that road it is maybe 3 kilometers to my car. But if I look right on the map, then if I go that way straight into the wilderness, which looks better actually, there's not as much rocks, and according to my map it would be maybe 2 kilometers to the car. I go for that. I mean, who wants to walk on a road? I will try and find the Latin and English name for that. This is all edible, but you need to prepare that. You need to leach it. But you shouldn't though, because this stuff is not growing everywhere. Well, it can take a long time to grow, and if you don't need to, leave them be. If you have to use lichen, use that. Can be used as a tinder, the old man's beard. Now you see, that's a pretty good dark one. And if you use lichen to eat for survival, take the darkest you can find, because they will have the least acid. Still, you need to prepare it. It's pretty cool that you find in the middle of the woods these stones with with this pattern on it. See this pattern? That's because they've been lying somewhere where there was quite a current. Well, this wasn't exactly the easiest road either. Look at those stones. Incredible. Right guys, I see my car. It's been a great day. It's not all a bad job, this. Scouting is really nice to do, and you see new places, you meet animals, you see the most fantastic pieces of wilderness. I do not recommend you doing this on your own. I know most of these areas here have pretty good mobile phone coverage, and I know I can always call somebody if there is a problem. But it's generally much more safer if you do this with at least two persons, of course. I hope you enjoyed this little walk, and you see what I have to do sometimes to arrange the courses and the events, and hope you see you all in the next movie, guys. That's not moose, that's reindeer. See much around it.